Hey, this video is part 2. If you haven't seen the first episode, well, I mean, you don't need to, but like, it'd be kind of weird if you didn't watch it. Season 2 is starting off strong with a Marceline episode. Finn summons Marceline's dad, and turns out he's like literally the devil, and starts sucking out the souls of everyone in Ooh. I'll say I always love seeing more Marceline lore, and Finn being an absolute idiot, opening fucking random portals. She's like, oh, this is how you open the portal. He's like, did it. She's like, what the fuck, why? Finn wants to stop him, and Marceline wants her base back. When confronted, the moment Marceline gets her base, she leaves, forcing Finn to play a song she made about her father. When he hears it, he puts his guard down and tells Marceline he loves her. So Finn uses that moment to slice open his neck and send him back to the Nightosphere. Easy 7, and a fairly good pilot to throw us back into the world of Adventure Time. Guess I should go ahead and address this now. I'll be resetting the snail counter every season, and if you want to see my total count, I'll be adding that at the season recap. At the start of this episode, there's a little fucking guy, and he's hung himself. He's got a little noose around his neck and he's dead. He's like hanging up next to the window. It's crazy. I don't know how that slipped through. A creepy horse is staring at Finn and Jake when they're trying to sleep, making them feel too uncomfortable to fall asleep while it watches. And they haven't slept in days, so they go to more and more drastic measures to get rid of the horse.
Dude, let's kill the horse.
What? Turns out the horse was just the Ice King spying on them like a little freak because he wants to be happy. And in the end, the conclusion is that he's still not happy. So we had two things about being sad in this episode. The writer was fucking going through it, I guess. Gonna go ahead and give this another 7. Ice King cuts his beard, and suddenly all the princesses find him attractive. In my opinion, I thought he was hotter with the beard, but I guess my opinion doesn't matter. Everyone starts calling him the Nice King, and even Finn and Jake start working for him as knights. Nice knights. He has Finn and Jake help him catalog princesses, but Finn starts to think what he's doing isn't exactly nice. And when Finn and Jake head into the Ice Kingdom, they find Ice King's beard hair, and realize the Nice King is the Ice King, just shaved. 5 happy, because it was aight. Finn is embarrassed about not having cool armor when a bunch of studs make fun of him for his soft buns. Toilet paper on a stick. Haven't spotted the snail, but on the search, because I'm just always looking in the background, like, oh, is the snail here? And I just be spotting weird shit like toilet paper in the middle of the woods, hanging on a stick, I guess. This has nothing to do with the episode, I just thought it'd be neat to point out. To get some armor, Finn has to go through trials of embarrassment, including seeing a bunch of old people's private parts and picking up a red ball with his butt. Turns out it's a woman's armor, so Finn doesn't want it, and realizes he doesn't need to be and I guess realizes being embarrassed is okay. This episode had me feeling 6. Jake is sickies and wants to hear a story, but he doesn't want to hear another fake story Finn made up. So he tells him to find a story and even gives him like a checklist of things he wants to hear in the story. First, Finn is supposed to find romance, so he forces this goose and fox to kiss. This part was mad fucked up, I won't even lie. After that, he looks for a fight and starts one with a kid bear and easily messes him up with a headbutt. Dude, Finn is actually a beast. Bro can just 1v1 a bear with his skull. Before he can finish his story, he gets kidnapped by the forest people for messing up their lives. While he's being lowered into a magic pit of death, Finn starts giving the animals life advice, and they appreciate it so much that they let him go. They just completely forget about how he forced them to kiss, almost killed those birds' babies. They were just like, man, you're awesome. I would give this a 7. Snorlock the snail is lonely and an incel, so he's never talked to a female before and is really sad about it. He breaks into the treehouse and rips a part of the house off and uses it as a shell. Finn and Jake agree to help him find a girl if he agrees to return the treehouse. Unfortunately for Snorlock, he's not having any luck with the ladies. That is, until he starts beatboxing. For some reason, it's like a siren's call, and all the snail ladies start smashing their asses against him, and subsequently, the treehouse totally wrecking it. Jake tells him to stop, and since he won't, Jake throws a piece of salt on Snorlock, making him throw off the treehouse. He then reveals he's actually a slug, and one of the other snails also reveals she's a slug, so they go make out while Finn and Jake have to rebuild the treehouse. I smiled a few times. Solid 6. Finn gets enslaved by gnome people to run in a hamster wheel. This reminds me heavily of Super Paper Mario with how he's getting shocked. Jake is on the lookout for Finn, but he gets super easily distracted by everything he passes by.
Show you how it's done.
Somehow, Jake being unfocused is actually a boon, because it earns him the party god's favor, and 1 wish. Luckily, Jake wishes to find Finn and is filled with the power of 1,000 party demons to do it. This was a very easy 6. Finn gets kidnapped by crystal people and they start transforming him into a crystal. Jake could easily break him out, but has decided to be a pacifist until further notice because he doesn't want to hurt people. Turns out Tree Trunks didn't die the day she ate that crystal apple and instead became the evil crystal queen, Cortsion. Also, she became a Diddy impersonator and wants to turn Finn into her king. Jake has a vision of his brother who tells him he knows Jake didn't mean to hurt him as kids, and Jake revokes his pacifist ways. Now that Jake can fight again, he knocks the apple out of Tree Trunk's stomach, and she goes back to normal. Still kinda a PDF though.
Man, I just wanted to say, I think you're cute, and I like you.
This episode had me feeling a solid 6. Honestly, would have been a 7, but the reminder that Tree Trunks was trying to smash Finn made me feel gross. Finn and Jake are assigned to deliver royal tarts to a ceremony in the Badlands. Normally, Princess Bubblegum would use the royal tart deliverer. If Finn and Jake can't deliver the tarts, Princess Bubblegum will get her head cut off. Instead of using the royal pathway, Finn decides to take a path through the Desert of Doom to avoid any thieves, and sends Cinnamon Bun across the royal pathway with poisonous tarts to trap thieves. Of course, the royal pathway is heavily guarded, and Cinnamon Bun is easily delivering tarts while Finn and Jake get robbed. Luckily, it turns out Finn and Jake were holding the poison tarts, so his plan worked out in a way since the thieves got paralyzed. Once again, I was feeling 6 on this episode. An evil wood witch wants some princess hair because she's balding like my brother. To convince Finn, she starts sucking Jake into her asshole, so Finn is forced to get some hair, or Jake will suffocate. Finn keeps going from princess to princess, but because he has absolutely zero riz/aura, he continually fails at acquiring any hair from them. He does get some hair from Princess Bubblegum, but her hair is just gum, so the witch won't accept it. Of course, Finn is the goat, so he has some beautiful locks, and offers his own hair to the witch to save Jake. I liked the episode, and it was fun seeing Finn interact with the princesses. Easy 7. Finn and Jake are super ninjas after reading a book, and break into Ice King's home to look at all his stuff. Turns out Ice King is a ninja too, and has a secret stash full of ninja shit for them to loot. When Ice King gets back, they confront him for stealing princesses, and begin an epic ninja battle. Also, Gunther was pregnant, canonically had sex. Anyway, I'm gonna give this a 5. Jake is finally meeting Lady Rainicorn's parents, and Jake pretends to be a Rainicorn to make a good impression, because there was a massive war between Rainicorns and dogs. Unfortunately, this is at the expense of abusing Finn and turning him into Jake's wagey. Turns out Lady's parents actually love dogs, so there was no point in pretending. This episode was pretty funny, and a solid 8. Frog Gnome Knight gives Finn and Jake some magic beans, but 2 of the beans are good, and 1 is unimaginably evil.
Wait a second.
Nope, too late.
Instead of watching over the beans like they promised, they plant all 3 of them and take a nap. The first pod drops cute piggies, and they deem them not evil. The second pod drops some magic wands that drop glitter, which they deem not evil. When the third pod appears, they are ready to destroy it, but it turns out it just makes infinite ice cream. Suddenly they realize the pigs have wandered off with the wands, and realize it's the pigs who are evil. The pigs are allergic to ice cream, so Finn goes on a killing spree to get rid of this newfound evil. This episode was a simple 6. Finn and Jake scare off the Goblin King, and are crowned the new kings. There happens to be a book called The Royal Rules that are incredibly annoying and stupid, like not being able to brush your own teeth or even speak for yourself.
No! The royal speaker must give the speech. What? You see?
Since the dawn of time.
Of course, Zergyok comes back, and Finn devises a plan to show the goblins an active king is a good one. He sets up a decoy king and goes to fight Zergyok. After defeating him, the goblins parade him back to the castle and introduce him to the decoy, with Finn realizing this is better for them since they don't want a king that does stuff for himself anyway. I'm gonna give this a 6, but a low 6, if that makes sense. Princess Bubblegum asks Finn to speak at her science barbecue, and Finn knows he's an idiot, so he starts going around trying to get smart. After realizing getting smart would actually take some effort, they resort to magic and buy some nerd glasses from Choose Goose. I enjoyed the animation of him putting on his glasses. Now that he has 10 million IQ, he creates a 4th dimensional bubble that turns into a black hole and starts destroying everything. Instead of stopping it, he starts yapping about how this will be good for research, and Bubblegum begs him to remove the glasses. He goes back to 0 IQ and destroys the black hole, but it was actually part of the plan the entire time. I'm gonna say this episode was a 6. Finn and Jake learn that BMO can send them directly inside a video game.
Of course, Jake. If I push this button... If I push this button...
So they fuck with him while he's asleep, so he accidentally presses the button that sends them into the Matrix. The inside of the game is actually much more difficult and scary when it's for real, and Finn and Jake start getting their ass whooped. Normally they would use a bomb to destroy the bosses, but they can't seem to access it. So Jake decides to stretch up to the UI and rip the bomb from its spot, creating a hole in BMO and sending them and the enemies into the real world. They're just about to kill Finn and Jake, but feel the warmth of the sun and win the game. But they still want to kill BMO, so Finn has to perform a combo move to kill them all, which is something he's never been able to pull off. This was an episode I remember enjoying a lot as a kid, and it held up pretty well. I'm feeling a solid 7. Princess Bubblegum entrusts Finn and Jake with a princess flower, but they of course kill it. Instead of doing the normal thing and accepting it, they go to the Underworld to get the flower's soul back from death, which I guess means flowers have souls, but we're not going to get into the implications of that. An evil skull tells Jake to drink from the River of Forgetfulness, and Jake does it because he's just so friggin' thirsty. To get the flower's soul back, and Jake's memories now, Finn challenges Death to a musical battle, but he loses. However, when Finn mentions he knows Peppermint Butler, Death is like, damn, I ain't know y'all fuck with the homies like that, and gives them whatever they need. This episode was definitely a 7, although it was really close to being an 8. The boys find a bunch of humans, and Finn is super excited because he's never met humans before. He starts by teaching one of the inhabitants, which he dubs Susan, about the outside world. Susan then teaches the rest of the people in the sewers how to not be scared of the outside world. But, unfortunately, it turns out terrible because they love candy. And, the Candy Kingdom is fully made of candy, so the candy people then give them all PTSD to scare them back into the sewers. But who cares, because they aren't actually humans, so fuck them. Human supremacy, baby. 6. Okay, this has no impact on the rest of the episode, but for some reason, Jake blindfolds Finn before he even wakes up, which means Finn had to get up and fucking get dressed blindfolded. Jake takes him on a train ride for his birthday, and it becomes
Murder mystery on a train.
Finn takes the role of a detective, but he keeps blaming people, and every time he does, they become a skeleton. For some reason, Jake is insanely chill about this, and also thinks the conductor is killing all these people. But Finn brushes off the suggestion because it's never the creepy guy. Literally everyone but the conductor dies, so Finn is finally like, oh damn, I guess the conductor is the bad guy. Of course, the whole thing was actually set up by Jake as a birthday present so Finn could have fun being a detective. Before I rate the episode, I just want to point out how cool it was they added this paint coming off to show that it's just Jake painted. I'm going to give this episode an 8. Concept was really cool and was a fun episode to watch, even though I already knew it had a twist ending. Finn needs a date for the couple's movie night, so he asks Bubblegum, but she refuses. Jake convinces him to work with Marceline to make Bubblegum jealous so she'll go to the movies with him. And Marceline trolls him massively and tells him wrestling Bubblegum is totes fun and would totally swoon her, which causes her to throw Finn out of the castle. And for some reason, he keeps listening to Marceline, and she tells him he should throw wolves into Bubblegum's bedroom, which of course leads to him getting banned from the Candy Kingdom until further notice. At the end though, Finn realizes he should just go with Marceline to the movies because she's cool as fuck, which I agree wholeheartedly with. Marceline is pretty fucking cool. I gotta give this an 8. I just like Marceline, man. A bunch of bears are partying hard inside a monster's stomach, and Finn realizes if they stay there, they're all gonna be turned into literal shit. They speak to the chief, or at least they try to, but he keeps dragging them on side quests, so they decide to start singing a really sad song to bum everyone out and make them leave. And just as they finished their song, the lava of the beast strength started flooding the area, and luckily they all escaped out of its asshole with light singes. They didn't think that would be a sentence I would ever say. It wasn't a bad episode, but let's just say I don't think it's anyone's favorite. Feeling a 6. Finn and Jake enter a labyrinth to save some hot dog nights, but upon entering they find out if they make it to the center, they can get their wish granted by a magical being. Jake wraps his legs around a stump at the beginning so they don't get lost and start heading towards the center, but Jake is stretching himself way too thin, and he starts looking real sickly to the point where he can't even blink because his eyelids are so stretched. In the end, it all works out though, so peer pressure for the win. I really enjoyed seeing them go on a cool adventure. Lucky 7. The gang has weekly movie nights, but they misunderstand the anti-piracy warning at the beginning of movies and decide they can't watch the movies they dig up out of the ground anymore. So they record their own movie, and it totally sucks at first, so they realize they actually need to write a script. And for some reason, Finn and Jake are trying to shoot 2 different genres of movie, and instead of making 2 separate movies, they keep recording scenes the other one hates, and they start getting pissed off at each other, finally telling BMO to edit the best version of the movie, the best cut. Of course, BMO creates an edit about all their bro times, and how they should love each other and not be pissed, which was really cute. I'm gonna give this a 7. The little snail that's hidden in every episode gets possessed by an ancient evil known as the Lich, freeing him from his amber prison. Also, holy fuck, the Lich is scary, dude! Oh my god! The Lich looking like a freak, bruh. Originally, the Lich was defeated by Billy, And luckily Bubblegum has the magical gauntlet that he used all those years ago to defeat the Lich. Finn and Jake then go after the Lich to stop him from reaching his lair and regain his full power, but Ice King keeps delaying them, asking for permission to marry Bubblegum.
Look what you made me do to her!
Guys, don't let the Lich reach his well of power! Oh no!
When they confront the Lich, he's way too strong and easily destroys the gauntlet and the amulet that's supposed to protect Finn from evil magic. However, Finn is able to overcome the possession with the power of liking someone a lot and kill the Lich. And then the Ice King drops Bubblegum in the death pit. Easy 9. This episode was fucking awesome. We have our first ever multiple episode story, with this one starting off where the last episode left off, with Princess Bubblegum being wheeled into the ER. Something is very obviously wrong with Bubblegum once she recovers, but Finn doesn't want to accept reality and thinks she's just traumatized or something. To prove she's actually messed up, they peep on her in the bathroom, but they're too late and she's transforming into some massive beast possessed by the Lich. Ice King freezes her and then she breaks into a million pieces, but apparently it's totally chill because when they put her pieces back together, she's just a little kid. She's just fucking immortal. Gonna have to give this a 6, still a great episode, but not even close to the Lich reveal. What the freak? They're okay with watching movies now? Like, there was a whole fucking episode about how oh no, we can't watch movies. And then they're walking into Marceline's house with a movie. Anyway, Finn and Jake want to become vampires so they can float like everyone else, and Marceline pranks them by putting ketchup on their necks. Marceline then tells them they need to go through vampire orientation to learn flight, and has them do a bunch of silly shit to earn it. Unfortunately, the ghosts she's hanging with don't give a fuck about Finn and start kicking the shit out of them, and then throw Finn and Jake off a cliff. Somehow, they don't catch on by this point and go to the ghost's house so they can learn more cool shit, except the ghosts just try and eat them alive. Then Finn and Jake are saved because the ghosts really wanted to watch the movie they brought in the beginning. 6, I guess. Didn't really feel like a season finale, but it's not that kind of show yet. Alright, time to do the season recap. First, the stats. If you add up my scores for all the episodes, you get a 6.5, but we're just going to round that up to a nice even 7. Also, I spotted the snail 7 times out of the 26 episodes, which puts me at a 26% snail spotting ratio. I really liked the season. It felt just as good as season 1, if not a little bit better. Even though my ranking average was technically lower than season 1, it didn't feel like a worse season or something like that. Some episodes were worse, but some episodes were a lot better as well. So it balanced itself out. And I'm excited for the future seasons because I don't want to say I know it gets better, but I do have very fond memories of the episodes in the later seasons. Hey, this is the end of episode 2. Episode 3 will be, guess what? Who would have thunk it? Covering season 3. I really hope you enjoyed this episode, or I hope you didn't enjoy it and you're like hate watching or something. Anything really. Just if you got to the end, you something brought you here, and I'm really glad that it made you do that. So there you go. Anyway, thanks for watching.